Hi, I'm Phyllis from southernfrugal.com. Well, this afternoon we're going to fix some pizza, and we're going to make the deep dish Chicago type pizza. And we're going to load it up with all kinds of stuff, but I'm going to make 4 of them in my 9-inch cake pans. Got 3 new cake pans, or the Norpro cake pans, and then 1 older pan I had from way back when. So, and if I have enough crust, I might make even a 5th one. So we're going to do the crust first. So let's get started. Alright, so I have got 6 cups, I've got 6 cups of flour that I'm going to use, but the first thing we need to do is get our yeast dissolved. And I do get my yeast in bulk from King Arthur Flour, and this is just regular yeast. It's not the rapid rising. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons of yeast. I know that's a lot, but I like to use a lot. And we're going to use some sugar to feed it. So I'm going to use a couple of tablespoons of sugar in it. And I've got about 3 1/4 cups of water, and this was filtered water. It doesn't have any chlorine in it. So we're going to just mix this yeast up. And by the way, the water, just put that in there, the water was at 110 degrees. I just used my meat thermometer for that, just to make sure I don't have the water too hot. So we're just going to dissolve all this. Just keep stirring it. And we're going to let it prove out just a little bit, let it start getting foamy. And that'll take, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes even. Alright, so once that happens, we'll be back. Okay, here's what the yeast looks like when it's foamed all up. I know it's very much alive. So we have got 6 cups of flour here. Now I'm going to use my hands for this. And just so I don't forget, I'm going to go ahead and put the salt in the flour. And I'm going to use just a little over a tablespoon. Just going to mix that around. Alright, so we're going to dump the whole business right in with the flour. And we're probably going to use more flour, but we're going to just start out with the 6 cups. Okay, so I'm going to also go ahead and put some oil in. And I want about 3 tablespoons of, this is just canola oil. Just going to pour it out if it'll come out. So that's about 3 tablespoons of oil. Now I don't have any olive oil, but if you have olive oil, that would be best. So we're just going to get that flour all incorporated to start with, and then we're going to start kneading it. Now I'm not doing this in my KitchenAid with the dough hook because there's just too much here. It'd be coming all out the side of the not Vitamix, the KitchenAid. Alright, so we've got it sort of mixed in now. I'm going to clear my hands off a little bit. Let's see if we can't start kneading this. Getting some of that flour up from the bottom. And what we're going to do is knead this for about 10 minutes. And what that does, of course, is stretches out the gluten in the flour, and that's what makes the bubbles, the air pockets, because the yeast are releasing their little alcohol, really, is what it is. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this kneaded into a large ball, and we'll be back. Alright, here's what the dough looks like after it's been kneaded, and I actually did knead this for about 10 minutes, so it looks kind of like a rubber ball. And then I just generally pinch the bottom of it together. Now, while I was greasing the bowl that I'm putting this in to rise. I also went ahead and greased the 4 cake pans. Alright, so I used shortening to grease the bowl. And what I'm going to do is put this in and just turn it around a little bit in there. Grease the top of it, then turn it over. And there you have it. Now I'm going to cover this up with some saran wrap, and I'm actually going to put it outside on our grill, which is black, because it's 90-some degrees today, and that will cause it to rise very nicely. In the summertime, I do that frequently. Alright, so let's just cover it up. Make sure no flies get to it. And I'm going to put it outside, and while this is rising, I'm going to get my ingredients ready to go in the pizza. So we'll be back. Alright, the dough has risen, as you can see. Pretty much completely risen. So I'm going to punch it down. Gently, really. And now I'm going to cut it in 4 sections because I've got 4 pizzas that I'm going to make. So I'm just using my scissors to cut it. Now we like the big, thick crust, so hopefully that's what we're going to have. So now I'm going to take a section out. And I've already got my pans greased with some Crisco shortening. We're just going to mash it out in the pans. So for us, because there's just 2 of us here now, this will make a meal. So I'm actually making 4 meals. And I'm going to get the crust all the way up on the side, because we're going to put a lot of stuff in this pizza. Put it way up. Alright, so there's one of them. Alright, so we're going to do the other 3 pans over here, and we'll be back. Okay, we have got the 4 pans with the dough in them already. Now it's only going to take about 30 minutes for this dough to rise. So while that's happening, I'm going to put my pepperoni in the toaster oven for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes just to get some of the fat out of it. I'm also frying up about 1/3 of a pound of ground chuck. I'm going to crumble that all up once it gets done. I'm going to slice up these mushrooms. I think this might be a pound of mushrooms. I don't see it on there. Yeah, there it is. 16 ounces. I slice those real thin. And I've got about 1/2 a pack of ham that we had left over from sandwiches. I'm going to slice that real thin strips. And I'm going to use some Parmesan cheese, just a little bit, and mozzarella. I've got two different packs of that. We're going to use a lot of cheese. And I'm going to use 1/2 of the bell pepper. And I've got 1/2 red pepper, 1/2 orange pepper, and I'm going to get a red onion out, and I'm going to chop those all in my Vidalia chopper. Hold on. Now, my Vidalia chopper, I'll chop all of these using the finer blade right here, which will make everything really quick. Okay, so I've got to get out my onion and start chopping, and we'll be back. Alright, my hamburger's almost done, and the dough for the pizza is rising pretty well. Used my Vidalia chop wizard, and I've got this on a link on my website under products I highly recommend, and I do highly recommend it. You literally can chop all that in seconds. So we have got, take this off. some red onion and some red onion. I've got orange bell pepper, a red bell pepper, and a green bell pepper, just because. So I've got a skillet, a non-stick skillet, just a teeny little bit of oil in there, and I'm going to get some of the moisture out of all of this. I'm going to pre-cook it just a little bit, just so the pizza won't get watery. And here's the thing, with this chopper, of course, it makes everything pretty much the same size, all the little pieces. So I'm going to put a little salt in here, and then just sweat this out so it's not so watery, and I'll just go ahead and mix it up while I'm at it. So I've got my burner on medium. Just sweat these out a little bit, and I've got my pepperoni in the oven, rendering some of the grease out of that. All right, when all this gets done and we're ready to put the ingredients in the pizza, we'll be back. All right, we are ready to assemble these 4 Chicago-style pizzas, and there are the other 2. So we're going to start out right here and just go right down the line. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on this, just a little bit, right on the bottom there. All right, not going to use much of that. And the next thing is the sauce, and we're just using regular Prego spaghetti sauce is really what it is. Just pour a little bit in. A little bit in, a little more right there. So I don't want to use too much of the sauce because I don't want it to be watery. So now we're just going to smooth that out a little bit. So yeah, maybe we can use a little bit more than that on each one. All right, that ought to do it. Can y'all still see? Yep, you can. Yeah, so my crust has risen way up, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. Now, when we put in the filling, it's going to mash it down a little bit. All right, so now we are ready to load them up. All right, so we're going to start out with the hamburger. This is just about 1/3 pound of hamburger that's been crumbled up. I'm just dividing it among the 4 pizzas. In no particular order in this, except that I do want the cheese somewhat on the bottom. So this is going to be probably, I don't know, a little more than a cup on each one, or about a cup. Let's just say a cup. And we want that cheese to, melt all up into the vegetables and the other meat I'm going to put on this. All right, so that takes care of that half bag, and now I've got another little small bag that I'm going to use. Okay, I would say that's a good 5 cups on 4 pizzas. All right, so now we're ready for the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to start out with the peppers. and onions. And I just kind of divided the group up so I would know how much to put on each one. Yeah, so this will make 4 meals for us. We'll have one today and then about once a week for the next 3 weeks. So that works out really well. Even though it's time consuming now, later on I'll be happy about it. Okay, so now we've got it spread out. See, I'm doing the other 2 down there at the same time. All right. So now we're going to put on black olives. This is just one small little can of great value black olives that are sliced. I drained them and then soaked them up any other moisture on a paper towel because you want everything, pretty dry if you can get it that way. All right. So there's the black olives are on. And now I'm going to put the ham slices. Now this was, I don't know, about maybe 4 or 5 pieces of ham. And this is the kind, the Hormel kind that doesn't have any preservatives in it. So just put that on top. All right, got that divided out, sort of. And now we're ready for our pepperoni. Now I cooked this in the little toaster oven on bake for about 10 minutes. So that much oil came out. That's probably a good 3 tablespoons of oil. So we're just going to put this on. Even if it's double or triple pieces, we're just going to still leave it like that. Yeah, because we love the pepperoni a lot. And remember, we're going to cut these in half, and that will be a meal for us. All right, just about got it all on now. So the last thing will be the mushrooms, and this is a whole pound of mushrooms divided up 4 ways. I put those right on top. Sliced mushrooms right on top, like that. Now the mushrooms are going to cook way down. And I really put them on top mostly to keep so the moisture will evaporate from them as they're in the oven. Now I've got the oven preheated to 450 degrees. And I am using the pans. These are the Norpro pans. And they've got really a thicker bottom, but one of the pans doesn't have the thick bottom. And so I'm going to make sure that which is this pan right there. So I'm going to make sure that this pan is on the top rack, but I will be switching them about halfway through. So my guess is this is going to have to cook for about 25 to 30 minutes on 450 degrees. And if I see that the crust is getting too brown, I'll turn it down a little bit. All right, y'all, when this gets done, we'll be back. All right, I didn't have my light on, sorry. All right, we'll be back. All right, the pizzas are done, and here's what they look like. I've already made a salad. We're going to use zesty Italian purchase dressing on our salad today. So we need to just let these cool just a little bit. 3 of them will be frozen. What I'll do is put tin foil over them and just put them in the freezer as soon as they cool. So we're letting one of them cool down enough that I can cut it and we can get it on the plate. All right, I'll show you what it looks like on the plate when we get ready. All right, we are ready to eat, and I have taken the deep dish pizza out of the pan. Got the cheese on the bottom there and all the toppings. And there's our salad and our iced tea. And there's my plate. And these three will go in the freezer with tinfoil over the top of them. And when we're ready for a pizza again, I'll just take them out of the freezer and let them thaw out just a little bit and then put them in the oven. Okay, y'all, that's it. Here's a close-up. All right, we will see y'all next time.